My name is Tarmack, and this is your game industry news wrap-up for the week of February 11th, 2017. Blizzard Entertainment is adding a server browser to Overwatch, and they spoke about it this week. The server browser lets gamers set up a custom style of game, including everything from specific maps or heroes, all the way down to turning off individual or all character hero abilities or how fast capture points are taken, and numerous options in between. So finally, I can turn Bastion the fuck off! A while back, I reported on the UK Gambling Commission prosecuting Craig Douglas and Dylan Rigby for running a website that let gamers gamble digital currency and transfer in and out of FIFA 17. And then of course, Douglas, who went by Nepenthez on YouTube with 1.3 million subscribers, made sure to also promote the site on his channel. These two abusive Dorkfish have pled guilty to the charges and have been handed a combined fine of about $320,000 US. They managed to avoid jail time, which is unfortunate in my opinion. While 320 grand is a lot of money and certainly stung, I'm sure, it doesn't seem to have done much in the way of permanent damage. In fact, the charges were brought in September last year against Nepenthez, who saw his highest month of growth in over a year immediately afterwards. So it turns out a good chunk of gamers just don't care. 343 Industries, makers of the Halo Wars 2 RTS, have revealed that plans surrounding the retail physical launch of the game have changed. Originally, THQ Nordic was the partner responsible for worldwide availability of the boxed versions of the game. However, that worldwide launch is now only going to be Europe. The rest of the world will need to rely on digital means to acquire this title. Because as we all know, it's Europe and not North America that is inundated with low data cap internet. Mass Effect Andromeda producer Fabrice Condominis has said that the new BioWare extension of the Mass Effect franchise will maintain a more engaging effort on side questing and completionist activities. Quote, "We are approaching the completionist aspect very differently because we've done and learned a lot from Inquisition, but we've also observed what other games have been doing, like The Witcher," end quote. Well, in that case, we should call it Mass Effect Inception. The Witcher series started as a heavily modified Neverwinter Nights Aurora engine game, with BioWare helping CD Projekt Red and even showcasing the original Witcher game at their booth in E3 2004. And given BioWare has done some Star Wars stuff in the past, I think a Vader quote is very apt here for BioWare taking lessons from CD Projekt. "When I left you, I was but the learner. Now, I'm the master." Two pieces of news about the Nintendo Switch came out this week, with the first being nifty if Nintendo pulls it off, and the second being, well, indicative of a rushed console. Splatoon 2 is going to have a LAN mode allowing 8 Switch tablets to connect by wireless to your LAN, and also a spectator mode for that esports push. The less nifty news is that in addition to not supporting things like Netflix, which many of the Nintendo fans merely shrugged off by saying they'll just use the browser to watch Netflix, well, yeah, there's no browser either. E3 2017 will be openly available for the public to attend, which is a bit of a shift for the industry-focused convention. Previously, you needed some kind of industry connection in order to secure yourself a ticket, or you had to pay an exorbitant amount of money. I'm sure that this has very little to do with the big players no longer doing their main press reveals at the convention itself, electing to announce new titles and hardware at their own press events held off-site and streamed online, so there's little point in many media outlets even attending the con. I'll certainly be covering the press events and other news items during the event, which is held June 13th to 15th. Facebook is closing down somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 of the current 500 Oculus Rift demo stations that exist in Best Buy throughout the United States. Apparently, it was common for Best Buy to go several days without giving any demonstrations of the Rift headset. It was also common for there to be technical difficulties in demoing the hardware, but many of the days, nobody lined up to check it out. The stores will still continue to sell the headset, so you may have to buy one without trying, unfortunately, which is where VR really sells itself. It almost sounds as though VR isn't quite as popular as the internet would have you believe. And the last story of the week, Valve has announced that they are killing Steam Greenlight. In a blog post, Valve discussed the removal of the Greenlight system, that being a vote-based entry where a semi-arbitrary threshold allowed for a game to be sold on the Steam platform if it got enough votes. Greenlight is going to be replaced by something called Steam Direct, which, once verified by a plethora of digital paperwork, developers will pay an application fee for every title they intend to distribute on Steam. The application fee gets paid back to the developer out of game sales, so it's more of a deposit than anything. Thus far, Valve hasn't settled on an exact fee, with responses from developers suggesting $100 on the low end and $5,000 on the high end. I'm a little middle of the road on this system. It could stamp out some of the fly-by-night asset flip trash, or it could do nothing since a low price with trading cards seems to guarantee profits, but it will certainly price some smaller indies out of the market. But then, with the Steam Discovery update, it's clear that Valve really only wants to sell AAA games and early access shite that has already sold plenty, at least according to the Steam front page, despite my game library being clearly bent towards indie games. I'm pondering a full video on this. It feels very hands-off and thus very, very Valve. This has been your Game Industry News Wrap-Up for the week of February 11th, 2017. Please visit patreon.com/Tarmack if you like the content that I make and want to support the channel, as well as picking up some swell backer rewards. My name is Tarmack. Thanks for watching.